Hey everyone, welcome to Grounded Roots Healing. My name is Jason and I'm an alchemist. And today I want to talk about an actual problem that I have. So normally my videos are centered around discussing the inner workings of this 3D, 5D matrix and how the world's going through this change and our bodies and all of this fun stuff, which is amazing, and I do enjoy thinking and talking about this stuff. But for me, there's actual tangible physical challenges that I know a lot of people have, that I've been working through dealing with. So for me, well, that's cryptic, but in particular myself, I've had trouble with food. So I had trouble with alcohol. I've since dealt with that and other substances, and I've dealt with trauma related to early childhood exposure to SA, and this food one. This food one's kind of been put on the back burner, to be honest, because well, it didn't seem to have as big it wasn't as high on the priority list as a lot of those other issues that needed to be dealt with. But all of this has to be healed. This is called grounded roots healing. After all, it's not grounded roots. Okay, that's good enough. We just keep going and we keep knocking these off one by one. And this one is a big one for me because of growing up in abject poverty. So for those of you who don't know me, I grew up in abject poverty. We never owned a vehicle. My family, food was always an issue. We grew up on welfare, food banks, church pantries delivering food. There's other programs that we'd get things delivered at Christmas time. Things such as this. And many people who have grown up in poverty have had to do all of this stuff that I just described, and more. You know, I grew up in a small community here in Eastern Canada, and a lot of our food we acquired from nature, so when it wasn't available. So let me backtrack a little bit. Early on in my life, people had gardens, people had animals. People farmed and fished and did a lot of this stuff and provided for themselves. But in the 80s and 90s, the food became cheap enough to where people stopped doing all of this stuff. It was actually more expensive to do it yourself, or not worth it because the food was so cheap. But even for us, being as poor as we were, this became a problem. And my father was on a disability, was disabled, and my mother as well. So growing a garden, this type of thing, was quite difficult. Now, I did try to provide some calories for the family, doing outdoor activities, hunting, fishing, gathering. We did, but it just isn't enough when you're in that sort of physical ailment situation that my parents were. So food was always an issue, always, as long as I can remember. And anyone poor in that community, it was an issue. So I don't remember ever. I had one meal that I can remember at a friend's house. So when supper time, or dinner, as you guys would call it, would come around, it was time for you to go home because there wasn't enough for everybody, and there wasn't enough to share. My grandmother, I didn't have meals at my grandmother's house. I didn't have meals at any of my friends' houses. This wasn't a thing. So there was a lot of poor people food and a lot of trauma around this issue. So, this whole community was like this. Unless you had some financial stability, in which case it wasn't. But for most of my friends, who were the ones that I was allowed to hang around with, we were all poor. I remember big bags of cereal and things like this, but we also had rats. So one morning I woke up to go get my cereal and half the box was gone. And of course, you don't throw that out. So, yeah, it was rough. Now, this hasn't been an issue since approximately 1997 for me. You know, after I went to university, I had a meal plan there, and then I went on to work and make lots of money, plenty of money to afford food. So I haven't had this issue for decades, yet it's still here. And in particular, I've had trouble eating for comfort, to feel secure and safe, as well as never wanting to waste anything. This is a big one for me. So I'm out here dealing with a lot of this stuff at a work environment here in northern Canada where I'm isolated and I have to supply my own food. So I've gone to the grocery store and bought nice healthy food options, but I felt like maybe I bought too much. So I've got like so many days left, and I calculated that I will have too much food by the end of this. And I can't describe to you the amount of anxiety and angst that I'm feeling around the thought of wasting food. It's insane. This isn't like perishable food. A lot of this is in cans and stuff, so there's no way I can actually waste it. But I'm afraid, or my mind-body complex, the part of me, the human that has been conditioned in this environment, is afraid to waste food so bad that it's actually causing anxiety, that I bought too much. It's just it's insanity. I could always donate it or give it away. There's no way I'm going to waste anything. So, what happens? The body, not wanting to waste these calories, starts eating more every day to try to consume all of this before I end up having to leave and then waste this food. And getting this under control has been an actual serious problem for me. Like I said, I didn't really put it to the forefront of my thoughts on something that I had to deal with. So I'm now starting to deal with that, because that's what I'm up here to do, is to deal with these last remnants of the issues that are holding me back. And it is holding me back. You know, I'm carrying extra weight, which makes you have less energy and not feel great and not have self-confidence in your physical form because you're carrying the extra weight. You know, this is another issue. We've been conditioned to look at as being overweight as being, well, ugly, essentially. You know, this is changing, but it's still a real thing. And, you know, it's not, a healthy body is something to strive for. It is. You know, I'm body positivity, absolutely, but, you know, a healthy body is something good. It's something that we see naturally as a positive thing. Because why? If you're healthy, your weight is under control, you're active and you're happy, and your zest for life goes up, let's say. Now, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but for myself, I've always naturally been someone, I would very much, let's say, settle out at about 180 pounds, and I'm somewhere around 5'11". And I was also extremely active, which was a way to keep this under control for a long time, to keep the weight under control, because I was a runner and I love distance running. But I got injured and I couldn't do that anymore, and the food consumption stayed the same. So, you know, I've had moments in my life where I've been able to, through sheer force of will, stop myself from overeating and override that circuit. But as anyone knows who's trying to get one of these, essentially an addiction, under control, force of willpower is just not good enough. You will fail eventually. You need to get to the root of the issue and solve it. It's the only way forward. It's the only way to form a lifelong habit that's going to solve this problem. So I know why I'm like this. And I also know how to heal these types of things. This is what my entire year and a half has been about. This previous year and a half is about solving stuff like this. Old wounds that need to be healed. And the only way to do this is expose them. To put air on them, recognize what's going on, and then let it go. There's techniques for this. I've gone over this many, many times, and I'm going to keep doing that myself here to get past this last issue that it's probably not the last one, but one of these last big ones that I need to solve before I can move on to the next stage of my life. So I can be that father and hopefully grandfather in the future that is active with their children and, is up and doing the things that I want to do, like hiking and sightseeing and running. Wouldn't that be wonderful if I could do that again? I'm approximately 30 pounds overweight right now, at least. And if I didn't eat for a month, I would not die. I would be fine. There's at least 100,000 calories sitting on this body from eating more than I should have for a long time. And I'm not saying that I'm going to starve myself, and I don't say that that's the right way to do this. Healthy, consistent habits are the way to do this. So I had my enlightenment, 3-day enlightenment, I like to call it, back in December of 2023. And while I was in that state, I had 0 issues with self-control and food. 0. I ate until I was full, or when my body told me I needed to consume something. As soon as the body was satiated, I stopped eating. It doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the food. In fact, I enjoyed it more than I ever have in my entire life, because you're eating each bite mindfully. The entire key to this is no unconscious anything. Don't do anything unconsciously. But I'm not there. So I'm working on it, and I know a lot of other people with these types of wounds, these types of childhood trauma, have the same issues that I have. And also, do you trust the universe to supply for you? Do you trust that God is going to give you everything you need? I've got a Matthew 6:26 here, which is a quote that I like to think about a lot. And it's Jesus, and he says, "Look at the birds of the air and observe that they don't plant, harvest, or store food, yet God provides for them." And there's another gentleman that I like to follow named Matthias De Stefano. I watch his material once in a while, and he doesn't plan anything. He has complete faith in God and the universe that it will provide for him when he needs to. Now, he has a big network of friends, so when he goes around the world in different places, he doesn't plan where he's going to stay. He doesn't plan what he's going to eat. If you have the complete faith in God, God will provide, as long as you're on the correct path and you're doing the things that your intuition's telling you should be doing. So I'm not there yet with that one either. I'm not a completely healed human. I'm a completely healed spirit, but integrating the spirit into this body-mind complex, this vessel that is Jason, and healing the body-mind complex from all of the complex trauma is the trick. The middle path, not being completely spiritual all the time and not being completely grounded in the body all the time, where you're subject to every whim that the body and mind wants, but having control over that system and then going through this earth and having the human experience is the path. This is what we're trying to get to. So for me, My body mind, my avatar of Jason is still damaged. It still has problems to fix. I'm not a perfect human, and I don't think I ever will get there. But I am perfectly imperfect. And I am facing all of this stuff one at a time. And I am brave enough to put this on the internet, even though, as I've noticed over the last few days, there's some people that just stand behind a keyboard and love to spout out how bad you're doing at certain things. And, you know, I'm so proud of myself for doing what I've done to this point, for not having fear over putting this stuff out anymore. I just don't care. I know that someone's going to see this and they're going to take something from it. Maybe it's a little inspiration. Maybe they're going to have the same issue that I'm dealing with right now. And this is going to help them. It's going to help them understand that you can get better from this, and that there are ways around it, and what the actual issue is with this food addiction. And people, you know, anonymous people behind a keyboard somewhere in the world that are being controlled by the other team's demons aren't going to stop me from continuing to do what I do. And you know, I appreciate everybody's comments. I really do, and I'm starting to really enjoy doing this, and it's because I feel like I'm actually doing some good. And you know, that is what we want as well. When you recognize the divinity in someone else's eyes, everyone else's eyes, all you want for them is the best. And I just want to help everybody that I can. So I have a Patreon account that you can try for 1 week for free. Please go over there and try it out. I post very regularly, and it's more personal content, some walk and talk type videos. I'd really love to have you over there. And as I always say, I hope this video finds you well. I love you all, and we'll see you soon.